The other issue I'd like to talk about, I think you people must have read some fake newspapers and lawsuits against Norway. I'll focus on Norway because against myself is not something I talk about. Education is critical. And so when you see these things, I know people were worried when they read that, I have been taken to court in the US with the Norwegian Prime Minister. It's a joke, my people. It's a joke. It's almost like the joke I told you about the desperate attempts to institute days of actions to undermine, our critical activities. There are US laws. There are US laws that permit civil lawsuits against individuals who have engaged in sponsoring or what they call abetting acts of international terrorism that occurs on US soil. And I want you to know this. So Section 3 of that law authorizes the federal court jurisdiction, over a civil claim, against any foreign state or for physical injury to a person or property or death that occurs inside the US as a result of international terrorism. And this law is very specific. It only works and functions on the premise that the act of that international terrorism occurs within the United States of America. That's number one. Number two, it does not occur during war. So, and number three, it is perpetrated by a designated organization that has been designated as an international terrorist organization. So these are three conditions you must understand. There is an existing law for civil law claims against individuals or institutions that are perceived to conspire to commit, aid, or abet, acts of international terrorism that causes death, injury to humans or property. It must occur in the United States. That's number one. Number two, the law is also very clear about the fact that the act must have been committed by a designated international terrorist organization. The US usually designates groups as terrorist organization. No Amazonian group has been designated as a terrorist organization. And it must occur not in times of war. So when you read these lawsuits, there are a couple of things that you must understand. And I don't want to get into. I think our spokespersons and individuals have dealt with the different actors and their underlying claim. But as a leader, what I want to talk to you about is for you to see the acts of desperation. First, we didn't exist. First, Ayaba did not exist. Then they gave him a name. He's a terrorist, and then they tried to negotiate with him. You can't be confused. You have to be clear. If you're fighting a war, you want to occupy my land, you have to be clear. When you start showing these things, I see you being desperate. You're looking for help. You put pressure on different countries to transfer me down. I don't know if they can keep me in Yaoundé. Maybe if Norway says tomorrow that they are going to hand me over to them, they'll surely drop me from the sea. They can't lock me in a jail. They can't, except, I don't know. I'm not God, but I hate these people to the point where I don't think they can keep me in a jail. So they will drop me from the sky down into the Atlantic Ocean for me to die immediately. That one they should know. And so when I look at these things, I am not worried. I speak about these things because I know they use misinformation, they use intoxication and propaganda. Their aim is to weaken your resolve. Don't be afraid. If I drop today, you will continue. Kuva dropped. Asonganye dropped. Abombi dropped. Ivo dropped. Efang dropped. Piti dropped. The war is on. This is not a war by Ayaba. It's a war by the Amazonian people who have become conscious of what is happening to them and have taken a firm stance. So I want you to not to be afraid. This is a season of resistance against a known enemy. Secondly, there is an analysis about Ambazonians having been detained. There is no Ambazonian who has been detained, who has gone to jail out here because they are involved in the struggle. Ambazonians, there are Ambazonians in the United States, including known persons like Mamangam, who are in jail because they violated United States law. They violated US laws. No matter how just your cause is. And I have cited the shipment of weapons into Iran, I think under President Reagan. It was illegal. And the president himself was, I think, investigated for violating US law. Once you are in the United States, you are not allowed without permission to ship any kind of weapons anywhere. Whether for good causes, bad causes, whether you are the president, whether you are the foreign minister, you are not allowed. You do that illegally, you'll be held accountable. That is what has happened to Ambazonians. Everywhere there are laws against money laundering. So if you are in the US or wherever in Europe and you are moving large amount of money that are not declared, that doesn't go through systems that are seen as monitored, then you can be charged for money laundering. It has nothing to do with the war. It has nothing to do with the purpose for which the money was being transferred. So if you are sending funds or money into designated organizations that have been designated as terrorist organizations, you will be violating, the Anti-Terrorism Act. So these are things that, these buffoons, this what they call church and bail lawyers have been going around and propagating, trying to frighten you people. We are not fighting by war tanks. There are the 12 of them entered Momo last night, and thousands of forces. We are not frightened by them.